What if I told you that one wooden ship carried enough gold to build kingdoms, survived oceans that killed thousands of sailors, and was so powerful that even the most feared pirates tried to avoid it? It wasn't a pirate ship. It was the Galleon, the floating fortress that built global empires and ruled the world's oceans for nearly 200 years. But how did one ship become the greatest engineering masterpiece of the age of sail?
The year is 1588. Imagine standing on the cliffs of Portugal, watching enormous wooden ships disappear beyond the horizon. Some are sailing west toward the Caribbean. Others are heading south around Africa, while another fleet prepares for the longest voyage on Earth across the vast Pacific Ocean. These ships carried far more than sailors. They transported gold from the Americas, silver from Peru, silk from China, spices from Asia, and enough wealth to keep entire empires alive. Without them, Spain's global empire would have collapsed. But here's the surprising truth. Most people believe these were pirate ships. Hollywood certainly wants you to think so. Massive cannons, towering sails, endless treasure. It sounds exactly like a pirate vessel, but that could not be further from reality. These were galleons, the ships pirates feared the most, because unlike ordinary merchant vessels, a galleon could fight back. Its thick wooden hull could survive heavy cannon fire. Its massive cargo holds carried fortunes beyond imagination, and its powerful broadside could destroy smaller ships within minutes. For nearly 2 centuries, no ship dominated the world's oceans more completely. But building such a vessel was not easy. In the early 1500s, European kingdoms faced a serious problem. Explorers had discovered entirely new continents. Trade routes stretched across oceans never before crossed on such a scale. Gold, silver, spices, silk, everything depended on moving enormous amounts of cargo across thousands of miles of open sea. Yet no existing ship could do everything they needed. Some ships carried cargo but were painfully slow. Others were fast but too small. Some could fight but could not survive months on the open ocean. Europe needed something entirely new, a ship that combined speed, strength, firepower, and incredible cargo capacity. And the answer would become one of the greatest engineering achievements in maritime history, the Galleon. And once it appeared, the oceans would never be the same.
The Galleon did not appear overnight. It was born from failure. Before the Galleon, European empires relied mainly on 2 different ships. The first was the carrack, a massive floating cargo ship. It could carry huge amounts of supplies, but it had serious weaknesses. Its towering castles at the front and rear caught powerful ocean winds like giant sails. Strong crosswinds pushed it off course. Heavy waves made it roll violently, and in battle, its slow speed made it an easy target. The second was the caravel, fast, light, and extremely agile. Explorers like Christopher Columbus depended on caravels to discover new lands. They could sail closer to the wind than almost any other ship of their time. But there was one major problem. They were simply too small. A caravel could never carry enough treasure, enough food, or enough weapons for long ocean crossings. Europe needed something entirely different. Not a larger carrack, not a stronger caravel, but a ship that combined the greatest strengths of both. In the 1530s, Spanish shipbuilders finally found the answer. They designed an entirely new type of vessel, the galleon. At first glance, it looked similar to older ships, but beneath the surface, almost everything had changed. The hull became longer and narrower. Instead of fighting against the waves, the ship sliced through them. The massive front castle was lowered dramatically. This reduced wind resistance, making the ship faster, more stable, and much easier to control during storms. The stern remained tall, but its shape became more efficient, giving officers a commanding view while keeping the ship balanced. Every change served a purpose. Nothing was built simply for appearance. Every plank, every beam, every curve was designed to help the ship survive oceans that had destroyed countless vessels before it. The result was extraordinary. The galleon could carry enormous cargo, fight powerful enemies, and sail across the Atlantic and Pacific for months without falling apart. For the first time in history, one ship could truly do everything. And that was only the beginning, because its greatest engineering secrets were hidden deep inside its wooden skeleton.
The true genius of the galleon was not its sails or even its cannons. Its greatest strength was hidden beneath the deck. Everything began with a single piece of wood, the keel. Shipbuilders called it the backbone of the ship. It stretched from bow to stern, supporting every beam, every deck, and every mast above it. Finding the right tree for a keel was incredibly difficult. The wood had to be perfectly straight, without cracks, without knots, without hidden weaknesses. Sometimes, builders searched forests for years before finding a tree worthy of becoming the backbone of a galleon. Once the keel was laid, the ship slowly grew upward. Large curved wooden ribs were attached one by one, almost like the skeleton of a giant whale. Each rib was carefully shaped by hand. No two were exactly alike. Together, they gave the ship its famous long, streamlined shape. Next came the thick outer planks. Massive oak boards, some nearly 4 inches thick, were fastened tightly onto the ribs. Instead of relying only on iron nails, shipbuilders often used large wooden pegs called tree nails. Unlike iron, wood expanded when soaked by seawater. The tighter the planks became, the stronger the ship grew. But there was still another problem. Even the smallest crack allowed seawater to leak inside. To solve this, workers forced tar-soaked hemp fibers deep between every plank. Then they sealed the entire hull with hot pitch. The result was a ship capable of surviving months, sometimes years, on the open ocean. Yet nature had one final enemy waiting beneath the waves: tiny shipworms. These creatures bored silently into wooden hulls, destroying ships from the inside out. To protect the galleon, builders added another protective layer beneath the waterline. Some even covered parts of the hull with sheets of lead. It was expensive, but it dramatically increased the ship's lifespan. By the time construction was complete, the galleon was far more than a wooden ship. It was one of the strongest man-made structures of its age. And soon, its incredible firepower would make it the most feared vessel on the world's oceans.
A galleon was not simply built to survive the ocean, it was built to win battles. Its most terrifying weapon was its broadside. Along both sides of the ship, large square gun ports were cut into the hull. Behind each opening, rows of heavy bronze and iron cannons waited silently. When battle began, the wooden gun ports swung open. Sailors rolled the massive cannons forward using thick ropes and wooden carriages. The captain gave the order. Seconds later, an entire wall of fire exploded from one side of the ship. The thunder of dozens of cannons echoed across the sea. Iron cannonballs ripped through enemy hulls, splintering thick oak timbers, destroying masts, and sending deadly wooden fragments flying through crowded decks. A single broadside could cripple a smaller ship within moments. But carrying so many heavy cannons created another challenge. Each cannon weighed thousands of pounds.
If they were placed too high, the ship could become unstable and capsize. So engineers mounted the heaviest guns close to the waterline. This lowered the ship's center of gravity, making the galleon stronger, safer, and far more accurate during combat. The lower decks became floating gun batteries, turning every galleon into a moving fortress. Pirates quickly learned a painful lesson. Attacking an ordinary merchant ship was one thing. Attacking a fully armed galleon was something entirely different. Most pirate captains preferred easier targets, because once a galleon opened fire, very few enemies escaped unharmed.
But the galleon's greatest achievement was not winning battles. It was connecting the world. These enormous ships crossed oceans that many sailors believed were impossible to survive. One of the most extraordinary journeys began in Mexico and ended nearly 8,000 miles away in the Philippines. Known as the Manila Galleon route, it became one of the longest regular sea voyages in human history. The ships carried silver mined in the Americas and returned loaded with Chinese silk, porcelain, spices, tea, and countless luxury goods that Europe desperately desired. Some voyages lasted more than 6 months. Crews faced violent storms, deadly diseases, crushing loneliness, and endless stretches of open ocean with no land in sight. Yet, the galleon kept sailing. Across the Atlantic, another fleet carried even greater treasure. Spanish galleons transported mountains of gold, silver, emeralds, and precious cargo back to Europe. Entire kingdoms depended on these ships arriving safely. Losing just one treasure galleon could cost a nation a fortune. That is why they sailed together in heavily protected convoys, guarded by powerful warships, ready to fight anyone who dared attack. The galleon was no longer just a ship. It had become the backbone of a global empire. Every successful voyage strengthened Spain's economy, expanded international trade, and connected continents like never before. Without the galleon, the first truly global trading network might never have existed.
By the early 1700s, new warships began to appear. They were faster, more heavily armed, and designed purely for naval combat. Gradually, the mighty galleon disappeared from the world's oceans, but its influence never truly ended. Nearly every major sailing warship that followed borrowed ideas first perfected by the galleon. Its long, streamlined hull, its powerful gun decks, its balanced sail design, and its incredible ability to carry both cargo and weapons changed shipbuilding forever. More importantly, the galleon connected continents that had never traded on such a scale before. It carried the silver that fueled global commerce, the spices that transformed European kitchens, and the goods that linked Asia, Europe, Africa, and the Americas into one worldwide trading network. It did far more than transport treasure. It helped build the modern world. Built only from wood, iron, rope, and canvas, the galleon crossed oceans without engines, without GPS, without modern maps. Yet it conquered seas that many believed were impossible to cross. It wasn't simply one of history's greatest ships, it was one of humanity's greatest engineering achievements. And even today, more than 400 years later, its legacy still sails through history.